Hi, Kylie here and welcome to my plan with me for January 2025. So this month the theme is birds. If you haven't watched my setup video for this year, I'm keeping themes and this month is birds. I'm also keeping quotes and I'll chat about that when we get to the quote. So birds. I've drawn birds before in my bullet journal and it's actually been interesting to go back and have a little bit of a look at what I did then and looking at it now. And I can definitely say that my technique has improved, which I would hope it had, because I'm pretty sure I did that in like 2021 was when I did birds, when I was first doing bullet journaling. So, you know, if it hadn't improved to this stage, I'd actually be a bit concerned. But hey, so yeah, this year I just thought, because I'm doing mixed themes, so I'll be doing a nature theme for 1 month and then the following month a man-made theme. They're all set out in the setup video if you're interested in what I'm going to be doing. So my title page has 5 birds on it. It's got a fairy wren, which we have a lot of them around our house. It also has a raven. We also have a lot of forest ravens around and they're spooky and creepy. And I swear that they're trying to work out how to break into our house. I kid you not. Then I've got 3 other birds that are just random generic bird. And this is why birds are really fun to draw, because, I mean, you can draw proper birds. You know, you can go, yes, this is, you know, a fairy wren or a raven or a chicken or a puffin, which I have later. But you can also then just go generic bird shape, wings, tail, beak, done. You know, you don't have to actually make it look like a real, you know, this is a blah, blah, blah bird. And I think that that's like a lot of the fun of drawing them is being able to just, you know, draw any sort of shape you want, give them really ornate patterns or don't, you know, give them really bright colors or don't. Like, you can really do whatever you want with them. So if you are sort of thinking about, you know, if any of you use this for inspiration as to what you might put in your bullet journal or those sorts of things, by all means, look at birds. They're good fun to draw. And as you can see, like, they don't take a lot of effort really. And there's me again, not waiting for my watercolor to dry. So now we have a color spread all over the page. I swear at some point in time, I'm going to remember to check, and I'm going to really make sure that I paint from the left to the right completely before just randomly putting a spot of paint somewhere and then spreading it everywhere. There you go. So we're in 2025. We're 10 days into 2025. So I hope that the beginning of this year has gone well for you. Now, while I'm recording this, Los Angeles is currently burning to the ground. So I know that for a lot of people in the world, maybe it hasn't started that well. We are, you know, still watching a genocide in the Middle East, and things are, you know, Australia's had its own bushfires and things are happening. I'm just going to maybe not comment too much on it. I try not to, because I try to make this a little bit of a happy place. I think I've mentioned that a couple of times before, but yeah, sometimes it's just a little much. So I'm trying to think of the more positive parts of things. Let's get back to the bullet journal. I am making changes this year. One of them is this page where I draw up the month and I put my schedule from my future log into this month. Previously, what I would also do is have the client work that I was focusing on. And for the last year, I've had like my projects, so making, what I'm planning on doing towards making. I'm not doing that any longer, well, for the next 3 months, because this is all being trialed for 3 months, and then we'll see how it all comes out in the end and see, you know, whether I'm going to tweak it again after that period of time. But what I decided to do was take those out, because honestly, I would never refer back to them. I really don't know. They serve no purpose. And because I'm changing my weekly layout and getting rid of a lot of the schedule, I really need this to be a little bit more, I guess, dedicated to having a schedule. On the right-hand side, I've got my quote, which for this month is "The beginning is always today" by Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. The quotes are going to either be tied to the month and something relevant to the month, or to the theme. This one is because we're starting a new year, so it's the beginning. Not that I believe that the 1st of July washes things clean and it's just a continuation of last year, but it sort of helps me with all the failed goals that I had to think, well, I can just start again. It's okay, it's not failure, I just need to reset myself. So the beginning is always today. And I am going to keep the quotes. I'm really looking forward to having them a little bit more pithy and ornate than the words that I was putting in from the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. I enjoyed that a lot, but because I enjoyed the words part of it, but I stopped doing lettering, and I think that's a little bit detrimental to some of my skills. So I'm doing a lot more of that this year. Week 1, you can see the changes here. So I'm drawing 3 just generic birds. On the left-hand side, I've extended my tasks box all the way down to the bottom of the page. So I can better track tasks in here. I'm also, I've got a little box at the top of the page that has the events. Now, I happen to do work that is largely driven by my own schedule and the deadlines for clients. I do meetings rarely, and when I go and do graphic scribing, then of course I do have appointment type events that I have to go to, but most of my work is not date driven. So I sort of challenged whether I needed to have all the boxes, and sometimes I'd have way too much space on a day that I was just committed to doing the same client work for an entire week. Well, what am I putting in those boxes? So I decided that I'd try some classic bullet journaling. So the way that Ryder Carroll actually sort of came up with it and put it in place. We're on to week 2 now, and I've got 2 ravens in here as well. I've got a flying one and another one on the ground. So the way that works, if you haven't actually looked into actual bullet journaling, because this is more sort of creative bullet journaling. So the way it works is you just start on a day, and then you start putting down the tasks that you need to do or do. So, the task list, it sort of breaks it up a little bit, but the task list has all the tasks that you need to do, and then when you do them, you put them in. I can still put appointments in on those specific days, like on the morning that the day is there, but I basically do Monday, add a little commentary around it, and then write Tuesday the 7th, and then do Tuesday, and then Wednesday the 8th. And you just basically go down the page. Each day takes as much as each day needs to take. Having said that, I am trying to still keep it to a page a week, and we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure this is going to work extremely well, but we'll try it. That's all I can do. Ultimately, and I mentioned this in my setup video, I actually want to get to the point where I can put an entire year into one physical bullet journal, which I can't do at the moment. I can only fit 9 months in. So I'm starting to make some changes and adjustments and see how I feel about things so that I can try to reduce the content and still be able to track things the way I want to do them. So we're in week 3 and we've got birds on a wire. So 3 wires with just random generic bird, just either sitting there singing, flying down to land on the wire. So quite a simple sort of drawing of birds. This year is going to be, I think, a little bit of a busy year as well, because that doesn't seem to be changing. But I'm really looking forward to really trying to create and save some time for me. I'm going through and looking at my daily schedule at the moment to try and work out how I better fit in more creative time for my work and not lose all of that like I did last year. I'm hopeful that I will be able to say no a little bit more often, and that, this will all be a little bit more under control, but who knows. You'll also notice that I'm doing something else in here. I'm putting lines between, like sort of shading lines in to just delineate the spaces in tasks and in events. I'm hoping, because some of that may sort of end up a little bit squishy, that may make it just look a little bit easier for me to separate things. We're in week 4, and week 4 is chickens. I love drawing chickens, and I love drawing chickens this way, which is effectively a semicircle. It's very cute. They're very random, but I really enjoy them. So chickens had to be in here. Really, give it a go. It's the most fun way to draw chickens. Like, they don't look like chickens. I mean, they do, but they don't. But yeah, so they had to be in here. One's running, one's eating stuff off the ground, and one's there with a couple of chicks. And for week 5, the final week of the month, we've got puffins. Puffins are really fun to draw. They are adorable creatures. I don't know, maybe they have some behaviours that aren't, but they look cute. And yeah, I really enjoy drawing them. I did, when I did this in this theme, in my first bullet journal, I drew puffins as well, because they're just adorable. They can get a little bit complex in sort of their head and their beak. You can get a little bit off kilter with them, and they sort of don't really look like puffins anymore, but they're really cute. I've got one with its wings out on the edge of a cliff, ready to fly away. I've got one on the ground with one leg in the air looking down at that foot, and then one sleeping in the grass. So yeah, lots happening in 2025, but also like just making some space to give myself a little bit more kindness, because yeah, last year was a lot. But we don't need to go there, honestly. I talk about some of it in the setup video, but if you've been here before, you know what happened. You know that I had to say goodbye to my beautiful little puppy. And yeah, there are other things that I don't talk about in these videos as well, but hey. So the last set of pages is a reflection page. I'm keeping this for the time being. I am considering having a journal that is purely just end of the month reflection and, then quarterly reflections and those sorts of things. So I'm thinking about taking this out. This will be one of the ways that I reduce the number of pages to try and get my bullet journal into one thing, or a year into one thing, I should say. But because I've got a reflection page, that leaves an empty page. So at the moment, what I'm thinking about doing is just increasing my lettering. So picking a couple of things throughout the month that are just little lessons that I've learnt, or interesting quotes, and doing a little bit more lettering for them there. But this is my bullet journal for January. I thank you very much for being here. If you've come back, thanks for returning. If you're new here, hi, welcome. Please, feel free to like, subscribe, do those sorts of things. Feel free to comment and tell me what you're doing for your year, how you're planning, whether you keep a bullet journal or not. I'm always interested to know. But thank you very much for your time. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you at the end of January for February. Bye.